Sup dudes, I'm Threeson here and welcome back to my Java tutorial here. So last week it was last week, we did the if statements and switch statements. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work on loops tutorial. No, this is filter for this thing. What am I doing? No, but we're going to name this tutorial 5. Okay. So let's just delete all this stuff. All right. So let's look at the first type of loop. Well, first things first, we need something called a Boolean. So today we're looking at while loops, specifically while loops. So Boolean, let's just create a random Boolean. That needs to be equals true. Anyway, so while bool okay. Now this will repeat infinitely, as you can see, because it's not changing out of this. You can do that, but we want this to have something to do an exit. Now, if let's create a rand equals new random. Well, import random if rand dot next boolean, I guess. Bool equals false. And let's add a printing statement so we can see how many times. So we can see how many times it takes. So we'll see that at least once in here. Okay, it went 5 times, and this 5th time that turned out to be false. Now, there's an interesting little thing. If this turns out to be false when it's now, let's copy this. Control C, Control V. This second loop won't do anything. So that was that one, but this one did nothing. Well, put that with a system.out.println. So, I don't know why I'm putting those in. Wait, hang on. That just happened. Anyway, then this one did nothing. Why? Because this was false. To exit this had to be false. So we're going to change this up a bit. We're going to remove this part. We're going to hit Control X, and we're going to throw it on the end of this. And then we're going to put in something called do here. We're going to just throw that in there. Now what this do means is that this runs at least once, even if this condition for repeating turns out to be false. All right? Even if this condition for repeating turns out to be false, this will, in fact, run at least once, saying do this and repeat it while this is true. This says do this if this is true and keep repeating it while it's true. So yeah, that's basically what they do. They're very simple. Now, the next part of this tutorial today is arrays. Those are some fun stuff. Trust me. Alright, let's delete the comments part of this. So, an array. This is how you declare an array. Okay, so I figured I'd just put the line down and then explain what's happening. So, this is saying what type it is. These square brackets here say it is an array. This is just the name of it, like with any other variable. That's an assignment thing. And this new here means that we're creating a new array. And then this is, again, the type of array. And then this number in the square brackets here is how many elements there are in an array. So an array, we're going to do this in Notepad. An array is just a series of elements. So this integer array, it's using 5. Let's put in 45, 68, 93, 20, 101. Okay, that is an array. Now, there's an interesting thing to do with arrays in that there's 5 elements, but their index number starts at 0 and goes up to 1 less than the max number. So that would be 0, that would be 1, that would be 2, that would be 3, and that would be 4. We're going to name this Note 5. All right. So basically, let's assign some stuff here. So int 0 equals, well, actually, what were we putting in there? What did we put in there? I want to put those in there specifically. 45, 68, 93, 20, 101 equals 45. I should probably keep that open so I can look at it. Now, I accidentally put int, it's I array. And so, yeah, basically, if you want to change what I array is, I'll show you another thing. So basically, you reference which index it's in and assign it to that index specifically. We can also do and then I array 2 equals 93. I array 3 equals 20. I array 4 equals 101. Now, I'm just going to show you what happens when you try to access the number 5. All of those are going to work, but this is where things will go wrong. Trust me. Now, it's already... Now, exception, thread, main, java.lang.array, index, out-of-bound exception. That's all just a bunch of stuff you don't really need to concern yourself with. 5. Basically, what it's saying is, hold on, there's only 5 elements, which means the max index is 4. You can't have an index of 5. So naturally, that didn't work. So we can output them. There's another way to assign to an array. Now you can reassign to an array. This will get rid of everything here. We can reassign to an array. Now here's another way to assign to an array. Now you can reassign to an array just like saying I array equals new int 9, and that would make it a new array. Now let's create a new type of array. I array 1 equals. Now here's an interesting way to do it. By using these curly brackets here, basically what that's saying is just put elements in here. 43, 56, 77, 86, 90, 34. And those are all elements. Now, this one, you got to count these to determine the amount of elements in there. There's 6. The max index would be 5. You also can't do negative index. You cannot do negative indexes for arrays. That just doesn't work. Now, there's another type of array that exists. Why am I doing that? Let's get rid of that. There's another type of array that exists. You can also do arrays of arrays. It sounds quite confusing. Let me just show you how to do an array of an array. Now, Here's how you do an array of an array. Int, do 1 square bracket, 2 square bracket. I 2D array. Basically, it's a two-dimensional array because it's got two of these. Equals new int. Now, this can be empty, and this can say 3, because each array can have different number of elements. I'm actually confused as to what I'm actually trying to do here. Hang on. Hang on. So basically what you can put here is 4. It's basically like 4 columns, 3 rows kind of thing. Now, actually, you might notice that this thing in here is like an array of some sort. You might have noticed that. Just ignore that for now. We're not going to talk about that for a little while. Anyway. Now, we can also assign in this. Now, we could also assign in this, but there's also a way to do this. Let's go end with a bracket there. We can do this. And then in here, we can put in all sorts of stuff. And all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you can put anything you want. And that is a 2D array. This is a good way to see how it's 2D. You got this. These are columns, kind of, and these are the rows, kind of. Really interesting. Now, how you reference this particular thing is, I'm not entirely 100% sure of how this works. I think this part, the number in here, references which of these tax is from, and this one is which of these. So let me just test this, because it's much easier for me to tell when we're assigning and then calling. Array, let's see, it would be 0, 0 would be the 45, definitely. So let's try 1, 2. Which, if the 1 called which of these it is, it would be this, and then it would be 109. It's 109. Okay. That's good to know. But here's just going to annoy you some more. You can also do it 3D, you can do it 4D, you can keep having arrays within arrays within arrays. We're not going to go all the way to there. So, yeah, there's that. But now, why am I putting arrays and loops in the same thing? Because you can use a loop to go through an array. Let's go. This is the first time we've had a third part. Did I misspell tutorial somewhere? Oh no, this is 02, 03. Okay, I'll fix that for the next thing. Don't worry. Anyway, and then here we go. Here, let's create an array. Int array I array equals new int array. We're gonna call it 6 elements. And here's a for loop. For I equals 0. Now don't int I equals 0. I is less than I array dot length I plus plus. I gotta explain what I just did. So basically, a for loop is looped with certain stuff, with some specific things happening. So this int I equals 0 is something that happens on the first run. Oh, that just happened. I don't know what just happened. Anyway, this int I equals 0 happens right before the loop goes through the first time. This I is less than array.length is basically saying that is basically a Boolean that checks to see if it can repeat. So if it's true, it repeats. If it's false, it does not. It continues going. And then I plus plus right here. Well, basically it's increments I by 1. It's basically something that a line of code that executes every time the loop ends. So here's an interesting thing that I probably should show you. I plus plus and I minus minus. This basically says increment I by 1. I minus minus would be decrement I by 1. Both work. Now, here's what this does. Basically, it starts at 0. So if we were to use this I as the index number, it would be I array 0. And the next time it would be 1. And it's less than dot length because length will equal to 6 right here, or whatever you put in here. And the reason it's less than is because if it turns out that when I becomes 6, this is no longer true, so it exits and does not go again, which avoids an array out of bounds exception. So actually, I'm going to throw in a scanner and let the user be the input of what we're doing here. So this is a scanner. Once again, we have a scanner, and we're going to say that the user will input this. So basically, that I array I is basically saying whichever one we're on. Basically, this goes through the entire thing. Input dot next int. Basically, you can input the array. Now it's not really doing anything if you input this. It's not prompting you, but 43, 5, 56, 54, 27, 87, 9. Basically, and input this, no errors. If we'd done this as less than or equal to, we would have ended up with an error. Boom. Because this right here is the 7th element, which would be the index 6, which doesn't work. So this has got to be less than. Of course. Now, for loops do other things, and there's a special way to do a for loop that I'm going to explain later. But yeah, for now, that's all I've got to explain with arrays and for loops. You can also, we're going to do this with another project. Seriously, we've created 5 new things for this one, just because I just want to do it. I just want to do it that way. It's easier for me to do it that way. Anyway, we can create a 2D array. That just happened. You guys probably saw that. And we're like, what is he doing? Let's do this. May say 3. Nah. 4. 4. That's good. So what we can do is we can do a for loop. For int I equals 0. I just hit insert. Equals 0. I is less than I 2D array dot. Oh wait, hang on. That's gotta be capital A. Dot length. Now this does some interesting stuff here. Because it's an array of arrays, this is the length of the array of arrays, and then the next time we call dot length, it will be the length of the array that's in the array, if that made any sense. So we can go again. For int, we're going to call this j equals 0. J is less than, hang on, I want a space there because it looks better. I 2D array I dot length j plus plus. And then here comes the fun part. I should have declared the scanner already, but now I will. Okay, so now, if you were actually making a program to be distributed, prompt them to input the number, but right now we can just do this. And this is what you call okay, if you figure it out, this iterates over this, and then iterates over each array, and within it, this iterates over that. Now, this is calling a thing. It says use enhanced loop to iterate over the array. I'll do that later. That is not something that should be done. Anyway, let's do a loop to output it. It's pretty much the same loop, except this line, of course, is system dot out dot println I 2D array I j. So this is going to be 16 numbers that we input. So 43, 4, 23, 12, 78, 65, 34, 89, 2, 44, 57, 83, 379, 345, 2, 2, 32, and then, as you can see, it printed them. Now, there's a fun way to do it so it arranges in like a square kind of shape. Now, I can't do it so the spacing looks okay, but I can do it so that it, is in a kind of square shape. So we're just going to change this to system.out.print and then plus \t. Okay. And then in here, system.out.print \n. These can be single quotes right here because this is a char. Now, the \t, as you can call, is like a tab, and \n is new line. So basically, that's like after each number, it prints a tab. And after each of these subarrays, it creates a new line. So let's run this. 23, 43, 56, 76, 87, 98, 379, 30, 50, 15, 24, 42, 7, 67, 65, 5, and then it prints all these. And why is the \t not working? Oh, it's treating this as a number. Yeah, it does that sometimes, so you want to put this in double quotes because this is interesting. What it does here is it sees this as a number. It sees this, when it's a char form, as a number. So it's like, let's add the two numbers together and then print it. It makes no sense, but yeah, it does that. Don't ask what all these numbers mean. There's too many of them. And then it, interestingly enough, it automatically makes it so that they're all in line like this, which honestly is really interesting how it did that. This, of course, has created some interesting stuff happening here. So, yeah, it did that. Also, these tabs go out all the way to here, if you didn't know. So, yeah, that's what happened here. That's how to iterate over 2D, right? You can also you can nest as many of those for loops as you want. you can do as many subarrays as you want. You can have like a 9-dimension array. I have no clue what use that would have, but it can exist. So thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, please be sure to hit the like button, share it if you liked it, and subscribe for daily content. And be sure to have a lovely day. Bye bye.